friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Leah Simpson. This is Homeschool at Heart, and today we're going to be talking about middle school curriculum picks for next year. All right, you guys, I know that you've all been waiting to hear what I have chosen to do with the kids for next year for my middle schoolers, and the time has finally come. Just kidding. I'm sure that you're not like waiting on the edge of your seat or with bated breath or any of those things, but I am here to tell you today. I even made myself a list so that I would not forget anything. So I'm going to talk about just like the five main subjects that we're going to be doing together. I'll talk about morning time in another video. I have not figured that out completely yet, so we'll talk about that in another video. Plus that would make this insanely long. So, all right. So first subject, we're going to get it out of the way. I don't think that any of my students or myself love this subject, but we're going to talk about math first. So this past year, we started using Mr. D. It's an online video class oriented, but it still has workbook pages that you can print out for your students' class. So he teaches math. Well, his team, because we actually had a female teacher this year, they teach the subject in a way that is math for the non-math minded. And so I felt like it really worked for my students this past year. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep that. We did Introduction to Pre-Algebra. I feel like that was the name of the class last year. This year we're going to start pre-algebra, and then if we continue to love it, then we'll keep going with algebra and then whatever comes next. I really liked that there was somebody other than myself trying to decipher a lesson and teach it, because math is not my strongest subject either. And so having somebody else teach it, even if I didn't like follow along with the course, which I didn't watch every video, I felt like I could pick up with, if my kids were struggling, I could watch the video that was for the lesson they were struggling with, and I could catch up and be able to help them with the problems that they were working on that day. So I really enjoyed using that. I will be doing a full review of that curriculum soon. I just haven't gotten to it quite yet. So that's math. We'll be doing Mr. D again this year, pre-algebra. Yay. So for language arts, this is going to be a little bit of a change for us. Usually I have, like, what I find I do is I will find a curriculum that we really like, and then we'll just continue using it until there's no more left. This year we are going to continue with Moving Beyond the Page, because that satisfies the requirement for all of language arts for my charter school. So we are with Sage Oak Charter School. They have like a list of curriculum choices for math and for language arts that we can use for our main core curriculum. And Moving Beyond the Page is one of those things. It is a literature curriculum that has grammar and spelling and vocabulary and writing and obviously reading that goes with it. It's supposed to be an all-encompassing type curriculum, but I feel like in the writing department sometimes it's a little bit lacking. I feel like there's not enough to really feel like I am giving my kids everything that they need to move on from middle school to high school, or even from high school to college if they choose to do that. So we are going to keep doing that curriculum because I think that there are some really great things about it. And that way I don't have to have like a whole bunch of little, like I don't have to give them like 15 books on their first day of school and say you have to do a lesson in each of these things. So we're going to be doing Animal Farm, Watership Down, and Adventures of Huckleberry Finn as our units within that curriculum. And then Beth has asked to do spelling. So we are going to be doing a program that we have already used in the past. It's called Soaring with Spelling with Jack Chris Publishing. And it is basically, it will give her a list of spelling words to use for that unit. It's usually a week. And then it has like various kinds of games that help to teach the spelling and vocabulary through that. She asked to do that. She has seen that that is maybe something that is more difficult for her, but we also really did enjoy using that curriculum. And so we're going to be buying that for her. Sorry, I don't have all of these pieces of curriculum to actually like hold up and show, but we just, I mean, Mr. D is an online course, so I wouldn't have really had that anyway, but we didn't decide until after our funds had to be used this year what exactly we were going to do. But the next thing is that we're going to be taking a break from IEW, which is crazy because I love IEW so much. And we're going to be shifting gears and doing a semester of poetry. So my kids really want to learn how to write poetry. We do a poet study in our morning time usually, but this year we're going to be learning how to write poetry. So we're going to be using, I'm 95% sure that this is the one we're using, but I'm looking at the Grammar of Poetry as our poetry writing curriculum. So it teaches the structure and meter and types of poetry and all of those things while we're looking at some famous poems, but then also it will teach them how to write their own poetry, which is what we're looking for. And I do plan to take that class with them, so that's going to be cool. It is a video course, so it comes with DVDs or forever streaming, I believe, is another method you could use if you don't want to have the DVDs or if you don't have a DVD player. And then it has a teacher book and a workbook that come with it. So we'll buy one set of DVDs, one teacher guide, and then we'll get 3 workbooks since I'm going to be taking the course with them. And Charlotte may or may not do it with us, but I feel like because she's starting IEW this year, I'm not going to necessarily push her to also be writing poetry at the same time. I think she'll have enough on her plate. Anyway, so that's what we're going to be doing that's like super different this year. And then for Bible, usually we did this together. It was like a family subject. We are going to still be doing a devotion during our morning time. I'm not really sure what I'm going to choose for that, but I'm going to have them do their Awana work for Bible this year. Last year we didn't do that, and then it got to the end of the year and it felt like, we have to get all of this work finished. If you don't know, Awana is a Bible program that it's a worldwide program. Churches will have groups of children like sign up to come, and they'll have leaders, and basically they play games, they do a Bible lesson, and then they do scripture memory and recitation. And so there's different books. The books that my kids are involved with at their ages are ones where they have a little bit of Bible study to do at home, and then they have a verse or two to memorize. And so this year I wasn't like really paying that close attention to how far they were getting in those books, and so they got to the end of the year and a couple of them were like, we have to finish this, and it was a lot of work. So we're going to just make that part of our school day this year, and then it will just be easier on everybody. So then we have our family subjects. Family subjects are my favorite subjects, and we have been doing Beautiful Feet books, early American history, for the last 2 years. We are finally moving on from that, and we're going to be doing Beautiful Feet modern American and world history. So this starts with the Civil War and ends with space exploration. So what Beautiful Feet books does, this is just the teacher guide. It is a literature-based approach to history. And so what will happen is at the beginning of the school year, I will buy the literature pack, and that will come with dozens of books. And we will, over the course of this year and maybe into next year, because that's how it worked out with early American history, is that we worked our way through. We would read once or twice a week, and then the kids would take out their history notebooks and they would write a little narration about what they learned or answering a question from the guide or something like that. And we have really loved it. So we did California history, and then we did 2 years of early American history. So I believe this will be our 4th year using this curriculum. So there's a bunch of different ones that you can choose from. Ellie even has a horse history set of curriculum back in our office that she has been reading all the books and going through the material for. And that's just a fun on her own project that she's been doing because she loves horses so much. But there's history to science, there's history, oh, I can't even remember, you guys. I think it's probably inside of this. History of classical music, medieval history. There's all kinds of ones. History of science, I said already. Geography. Teaching character through literature around the world with picture books. I think that's like part 1 and part 2. And then there's ancient history. So, and there's different levels. This is an intermediate course, but the picture book ones are usually for younger children. But you can use this all the way through high school if you'd like. And we likely will. I just really enjoy the togetherness that I feel like this affords. I feel like I love the way that they put the timeline together. I love the way that they ask questions. I love the little picture pack that you can use to put in your history journals. There's not a lot about this that I don't really love. There's also like rabbit trails in here that you could go on. There's different recipes and crafts in here that you can do if you want. We don't often do those things, but every once in a while we'll pick something. And we've just really enjoyed how this curriculum goes. So we'll be doing that this year. And then finally, we're going to be doing Harbor and Sprout Science again this year. So what we do is we buy the units. It's printable, although now you can buy it already printed for you if you don't want to go through the hassle of printing it yourself. So they'll send you everything you need for that. I'm not entirely sure about the cost, but I will put their link in the description box below so that you can check that out. But we've used since the beginning. This is at least year 4 for us on this curriculum. We are still using their patchwork studies, which is part of their primary packs, I think. So we're not moving up to secondary yet. We probably will the next school year after this one when my youngest goes to middle school. But so far, using the patchwork units, everybody has gotten a lot out of it. So I don't feel like my older students aren't getting enough out of it. We just really don't do a lot of the cutesy filler things. We really just stick to the science lesson, the experiments, the worksheets that go with the science and the nature study things. And then we will sometimes do some of the things that are like art or music or other things related. The curriculum really covers all of the subjects, and I feel like for elementary school, if you really wanted to use it as everything, you would really just have to supplement math. But since we're also using it for middle school right now, which they do have secondary units you can buy, but I just feel like they're not as colorful and fun. They're not, things like that. Their worksheets are more like writing based. And because my kids were doing so much writing already with IEW, I didn't want science to feel like it was just more paragraphs for them to write. So we stuck with the patchwork units. We still have many to go, but this year we're going to start out with zoology, and then we'll see where we get after that. So it will take us, we'll do science once to twice a week, depending on life. I have contracted a illness that is not going away anytime soon, chronic illness. So last year we only did science and history once a week each, before that we were doing it twice a week. So like we would do history on Monday and Wednesday. We would do science on Tuesday and Thursday. So we would get through those units much faster, but this past year it's taken us 2 months to get through each unit. So we'll see. I take turns letting my kids pick. This time it was Charlotte's turn to pick. The big kids had chosen chemistry the time before this, so zoology it is. That is what Charlotte wanted, but there's also entomology and I can't remember what the study of caves is right now, but then there's geology and I think there's about 10 more that we haven't gotten to yet. So we'll just keep working our way through whatever interests the kids at the time and just really enjoy that together. All right, you guys, so that is everything that I am planning to do for our core subjects for my middle schoolers for next year. If you have any questions, leave those in the comment box below. If you have any poetry suggestions for how to write poetry, I would love to hear them, because like I said, I'm only 95% sure. And honestly, since I've been like really researching that curriculum, I feel like my charter school is probably not going to pay for it. I think that it is a little bit too religious for them, but that's okay. I don't mind paying for curriculum myself, but they won't take it as samples. But I think that all the other things have enough. I mean, they might take like written poetry as samples, but not pages from their workbook maybe. I don't know. It just depends. I have a huge question mark in my mind about whether they will accept that or not, and I'm pretty sure they won't pay for it. So anyway, it's okay. That is not what we're doing homeschool for, is for the charter school. But I think that our kids will have a good time with that curriculum, and it just looks really good. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you all in my next video. All right, you guys, so 2 things. My hair is purple now. It is a lot darker than I thought it would be, so I'm trying to decide if I want to keep it like this or not, but it is what it is, right? So also the picture I showed her of what I wanted the cut to be like is a little bit different than what I got. I wanted like side bangs, and she gave me like straight across bangs, which made me feel like I had like a bowl cut. Anyway, because my hair is so short because it keeps falling out. Anyway, so now my hair is purple with like some blue streaks in it. I don't know if you can see the blue at all, and it's so dark because I was blonde for so long. So I had purple hair for quite a while, and then all of a sudden I started, then we changed it when it was long to be like purple on the end so I could hide it for theater, and then I cut it and I couldn't figure out how to put the color back in for when it was short. So here we are, fully colored head. So there's that. But I do have a funny story for you. I'll try to be brief with it though. So my big kids just finished up being in The Wizard of Oz, and it was an experience, but one of our close friends, who is also the theater manager, he was the best man at my wedding, yay, he was the Cowardly Lion, and it was really fun for the kids to get to be in the show with him, except that he would chase the kids afterwards with it because he was like so sweaty. It was so hot, and he had this fuzzy lion costume on, so he would chase the kids in his like sweaty clothes that he wore underneath this disgusting lion costume, and they would all scream. It was a game, but a few of them never got caught for like a hug. Thank goodness. My kids were. 2 of those that didn't. I think there were maybe 5 in the whole cast maybe that made it out of there. But anyway, so we go to the cast party on the last day of the show, and he's like making announcements at the end, and he says, I squeezed out, like I wrung out my clothes after the last few shows, and I put the sweat in this squirt gun, and now I'm going to squirt you all with my disgusting sweat if you didn't get a hug. And of course everybody ran from the room screaming, because how disgusting is that? And then he did let us all know that it was only water. So anyway, I thought that was funny. My kids didn't think it was super funny, because honestly, it is really gross, but it was this man who's like basically their uncle being silly with them. So anyway, I hope you guys are having a great week, and I will talk to you in my next video.